Shalom, everybody, and welcome back to Insights in the Parsha of the Week, Parshat Vayeira, based on the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, in particular, Likutey Moharan Lesson 24. In the Parsha, there's this piece where Hashem wants to reveal to Avraham Avinu his plan to destroy Sodom and Amorah because of their wickedry, how wicked they are, and their wickedness and their evilness these people had, that there's no justification to keep them alive and they have to be destroyed. So Avraham Avinu, being someone who's trying to always be chesed and trying to find good in people and help people to come back, so he argues with Hashem. We'll take a look in chapter 18, verse 24. His first argument is, Ulay yesh 50 tzadikim betoch ha'ir. Maybe there's 50 tzadikim in the city. The city means all five. 10 in each one, because there were 10 cities by Sodom and Amorah, 10 areas, okay? So maybe there'll be 50 tzadikim in the whole city. You will destroy everybody because of the 50 tzadikim. And he goes on in verse 28, 25 in his arguments. Then Hashem answers him in 26, verse 26. ויאמר השם אם אמצא בסדום 50 צדיקים בתוך העיר ונעשיתי לו כל המקום בעבורם. Hashem says, if I will find in Sodom 50 tzadikim, which is 10 in each of the 5 cities, so I will spare the whole place because of them. So that wasn't the case. So then verse 27, Avraham Avinu jumps to maybe 45, which is 9 times 5, 9 in each of the 5 cities, that's 45. Plus, like Rashi says later on, 1 Hashem mitztaref, Hashem joins, so it's like 10 with joining Hashem. So in other words, like 9 tzadikim. So he says, right, in verse 27, Vayan Avraham Vayomar. He said, and Avraham Avinu spoke up and said, Hinena o halti ledaber. This is what we're going to focus on. He says, Hinena, behold, please, I have ho'alti ledaber. So it's 2 explanations really. I've begun to speak. And also Rashi says coming up, on the second time it appears, I want to speak. Ho'alti ledaber, I want to begin to speak. The question is, what do you mean begin to speak? You already started speaking at 50. He's saying now, Ho'alti ledaber el Hashem, v'anochi afar va'efer, and I am dust and ashes. Ulay yachserun, verse 28, Ulay yachserun 50 tzadikim 5. Perhaps they'll be lacking 5 tzadikim from the 5 cities. You're going to destroy all 5 at Tashchit b'chamisha at kol ha'ir. You'll destroy because all 5, because there's like, even though there's 45. So Hashem says, okay, Vayomer lo ashchit im emtza sham 40 v'chamesh. Hashem said, I won't destroy if there's 45. It didn't work. There weren't 45. So he goes down. Verse 29, he said, maybe there's 40. Hashem said, I won't destroy if there's 40. Verse 30, and what if now there's 30? He said, Hashem said, I won't destroy if there's 30. Verse 31, Vayomer, so Avram said to Hashem, Hinena ha'alti, again, he says, and behold now, I have begun to speak. Here Rashi says, I want to speak up. But again it says, the second time ha'alti, when Avraham Avinu presents 20. Maybe there'll be 20. I won't destroy for the 20. And then finally in verse 32, which is the last straw, maybe there'll be 10. Again, this is verse 32. Hashem says, I won't destroy if there's 10. There wasn't 10. So Avraham Avinu stopped. He stopped trying to find merit and zchut in Sodom. He couldn't speak anymore. Like Rashi says, to ask for 8 was not practical because Noach and his family were 8 and they couldn't save the world. And 9, he already tried 9, plus Hashem being the tzadiko shel olam. He tried that already. That was the 45. Okay, so this was Avraham's stages in trying to save Sodom and Amorah, and it didn't work. Okay. We find, like we said, when he asked for 45 and for 20, he used the word ho'alti. And ho'alti means 2 meanings. There's a whole dispute amongst the commentaries on Rashi, because there's also different editions of Rashi where he translated ho'alti as to want. Some put it in the first verse, which is in about the 45, and some keep it at 20. And some want to say there it means I began, but the question is he didn't begin speaking at 45. He began at 50. He said, Hashem, it is 50. That's when he began. So if that's the case, why is he saying I'm beginning to speak to you when it came to 45, but you started already at 50? So there's room to say that also there it means Ratzon. So a few of the commentaries on Rashi they explain nicely that in reality it means both. In order to start something in life, you need to have a Ratzon, a will, a desire. So in these cases, we're going to go into what's unique about the 45 and 20. Avraham Avinu was trying to activate the power of Ratzon. To explain, the Zohar says that when he asked 50, why did he choose the number 50? Why 10 times 5, 50? Why? Okay, it's 10 tzaddikim per city. There's 5 cities there in Sodom. So that's 50. You know, why? What's that unique number? So it's 10 times 5 equals 50, okay? The idea of 50 is the idea of the 50 gates of understanding, of Bina. Chamishim Sharei Bina. He figured, Avraham Avinu, maybe there's 50 tzaddikim who will activate on behalf of Sodom and Amorah the merit of the 50 gates of Bina, which is a very high level, and that should be enough to protect them. Hashem's indicated to Avraham Avinu, no, that's not the case. There's not 50 tzaddikim. So then he went down the level of 9. 9 tzaddikim plus Hashem is 10, but it's 9. So 9 tzaddikim in each of the 5 cities, that's 45. What's the uniqueness of the number 9? So Rabbi Nachman says in lesson 24, the number 9 is formed, in other words, 9 represents 9 chambers, which are formed when the person's mind experiences a bounce back. When a person is trying to advance and to reach the highest level, to reach what's called the Keter, which it is another term if you want to say for the 50th level, like we mentioned, the 50 gates of Bina. But the experience is that a person has to be bounced back, and the bounce back is what actually allows him to perceive. It goes against logic, where a person would logically think, advance. That's how you perceive in life. In Judaism, when it comes to the Keter, which is the gateway to the infinite light, which translates as an opening to accessibility to all bounty and life and sustenance and salvation in life. You want that? You have to go experience a bounce back. The bounce back causes the 3 sections of the brain, of the mind, Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at, right? Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, to become intertwingled together, causing a multiplication format. So it becomes 3 times 3, which equals 9. Because of now the combinations due to the banging into the Keter, so the person's mind is bounced back, and in the bounce, it's mingled in. So it becomes 3 times 3 is 9. So these are the 9 chambers. Avraham Avinu, when it came to 45, and it's funny also because the order should be 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. But here, Avraham Avinu added 45. What's the idea of 45? He wanted already to attempt to activate the concept of the 9 chambers. Perhaps there are 9 tzaddikim, each one representing one of the 9 chambers, who will do the job of saving the people of Sodom, okay? But in the format of having a bounce back, that these are tzaddikim, we're not just status quo tzaddikim and advancing slowly, but these are tzaddikim or reaching the highest levels, and they're being bounced back. That's why they're 9. And if that's the case, then you, Hashem, join. You are called the Tzaddiko Shel Olam. That's Rashi's wording. The Tzaddik of the world. You, Hashem. You be number 10 for them. And the wording he used was ho'alti, like we said. He said, Hine no ho'alti ledaber. I'm now beginning to speak. Or, the better translation, like Rashi says, I want to speak. What's the idea of Ratzon? So V'nosan explains in the Likutey Moharan that the main key for these tzaddikim when they're bounced back is Ratzon. When any Jew, any person, faces a setback and bounced back, if now he falls to sadness and depression and despair, so that shows that his intent wasn't sincere from the beginning. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. The person's final action shows that his original intent was not good. Whereas someone whose original intent is to be positive, to be happy, to connect to God in a positive attitude, without any ulterior motives, without looking just for prestige or glory or honor or just wisdom and intellect, but he just wants a clear connection, a simple connection to Hashem, and he's doing it out of joy. So when that tzaddik, when that person faces a setback, like we mentioned from the Keter, the bounce back, he's filled with Ratzon. So Avraham Avinu used the term of ho'alti, Ratzon, wanting, yearning, in the case of when he mentioned the 9 times 4, 5 equals 45, the 9 tzaddikim of the 5 villages, okay? So, because he said that their way to be tzaddikim, even though they're 9, and it's not 10, is if they have the Ratzon. The Ratzon is what activates Hashem to join to them and allow them accessing the infinite light. So he figured if they're 9 tzaddikim, so then they're enough already to activate the idea of Ratzon, because they're 9, meaning they're being bounced back, they're not 10, so they're 9. So that way they can now activate the Keter by the bounce back. 5, the 5 ways of simcha that Rabbi Nachman teaches. Fake simcha, when a person is bounced back, person doesn't really have what to really be happy about because he's in a setback. So he has to use what Rabbi Nachman calls fake simcha. And there are 5 main avenues of that fake simcha that Rabbi Nachman advises. One is, we've said this many times in previous classes, number 1 is telling jokes, acting silly. Number 2 is through music and dancing. Number 3 is by finding the good points in the situations and finding your good points. Number 4 is to give thanks to Hashem, thanksgiving. And number 5, which is the most extreme case, when a person is so rock bottom and he can't find any handle, anything to use to be happy about in the present, he can at least borrow joy from the future, knowing that in the end, everything's going to work out. When there'll be the 3rd temple, and Mashiach will come, and there'll be the resurrection of the dead, and there'll be the final judgment of all the wicked people, and all the good will be rewarded. So there's hope in the end. In the end is hope. Right now it's difficult, but in the end it's going to work out, so I can connect to the future. These are the fabulous 5. So the 5 krachim of Sodom, 5 villages that had 9 tzaddikim each of the 9 tzaddikim, let's say, of each of the 5 villages, would utilize one of the 5 avenues of joy. That's the hint of there being 5 villages in Sodom. To counter the evilness there, to protect them, are needed tzaddikim, but they're only 9. And because of the bounce back being the number 9, they have to utilize simcha through the Ratzon to get back to have a fake simcha, and through that to come to a genuine simcha in order to counter. So that's why Avram used the word ho'alti when it came to 45. The next time ho'alti appears is 20. When now Avraham Avinu presents, maybe there's 20 tzaddikim, which means for 2 villages. But the number 20, kaf, is also a representation of the Keter. The Keter is called 20 because the energy, how Keter works in the Kabbalah, this high sphera, is that it's the one responsible of channeling down the energy to the other sphirot below it. So the Keter, which is number 10, it goes down all the way down to Malchut, and then goes right back up. It drops packages and parcels for each of the 9 sphirot underneath it, that each one gets their designated level of energy, which is why Malchut is called Malchut, Chesed is called Chesed, Gvura, Gvur, etc. They get it from the Keter, but the Keter doesn't stay there. It goes right back up. So 10 plus 10 equals 20. So 20 is the idea of the Keter. Here again, when it came to 2 villages, and there's the number 20 now is applicable. So then again, Avraham Avinu used the word ho'alti. Because like we said, by 45, the idea of 20, which is the Keter, also now by the numbering of the goal here. There it was the tzaddikim themselves, they're number 9. They're 9 tzaddikim. But here now the number 20 indicates that the measurement unit of the situation is 20. So now we're not looking that there's 9 tzaddikim only. Now it can be 10 because our focal point is that the number 20 now is at stake here. We want to activate the number 20 to save 2 villages, okay? 2 of the 5. So again, Avraham Avinu used the term ho'alti. Hashem, I want to speak because I want to defend. Meaning Avraham Avinu is trying to mention perhaps now the power of Ratzon to activate the 20 in the number case of the two villages. Now we're activating again the Ratzon, which is needed in order to face the Keter, which is a bounce back. Even though it's only two villages, and okay, there's 10 tzaddikim, but now we're focusing on the number 20. So again, ho'alti. And Hashem said, no, not even that. So 50 didn't work, 45 didn't work, 30, 20, 10. So Avraham Avinu, he gave up. The question is, he worked so hard to try to save Sodom and Amorah. And the question is, how come it didn't work? You would think that everything in the universe has like a spark of holiness giving it light. As evil as Sodom and Amorah may be, still you would think there would be a holy spark to keep them, to sustain them. Yet, Hashem showed Avraham Avinu the only holy spark amongst Sodom and Amorah was Lot and his daughters. That's why they were saved. Lot, who contained within him the potential ancestry for the future David, Hamelech, and Mashiach. Okay? He was hidden. That was the holy spark hidden in Lot and his two daughters. That was removed. Once that was removed, Sodom and Amorah were so evil, there's no longer a holy spark to keep them alive, and that's why Hashem said they have to be destroyed. Totally destroyed. You would think, something, Hashem, have pity on your creation. The answer is, Hashem said they've reached such a low level, these people, and I've extracted already by saving Lot and his two daughters, there's no more any holy spark here to save. That's why they must be destroyed. But Avraham Avinu, whose compassion reflects how the tzaddikim, they perceive, in a sense, Rav Nosson writes this, something really scary, that Hashem, in a way, gives leeway for tzaddikim to have a higher level of compassion than he does. For example, when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, leave me, ata hanichali, and I'll destroy the Jewish people, and I'll start from you a new nation, at the golden calf. When the golden calf happened, Hashem said, I'm fed up, I'm going to just destroy, and I'll start from you, right? And then Moshe Rabbeinu says, if you destroy the Jews, then blot out my name, destroy me too, because I can't have that happen. And he davened for the Jewish people, and that's how he was able to save them. So it's as if Hashem purposely made his level of compassion lower than that of the tzaddikim, of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu got the hint that Hashem is pushing him to recognize that there's a higher level of hope, a deeper level, and he has to tap into that. And that's what saved the Jews at the golden calf. So too, Avraham Avinu, being the tzaddik he is, he was pushing Hashem, maybe there's hope. But by Sodom and Amorah, it was so bad because of their immorality, because of their lack of chesed. Okay? There was no good left. And once, like we said, no good is left, the thing is destroyed. This is an amazing message in life. I heard this once from a Breslov elder, that quoting Rav Nosson, that sometimes a person feels about himself that he's so low. A person sometimes he sinks down, and he goes so low in life, and the person begins to say, that's it, I'm finished. You have people, for example, they can be such a high level of devotion and serving Hashem and dedication and Torah study and guarding the holiness of their eyes and being careful saying blessings and doing good and praying and emunah and tshuva, and then they crash. And they're so embarrassed with themselves, they feel so guilty about themselves, they think they're right out the roll. For sure Hashem gave up on me, that's it, it's finished, it's over. After where I was holding and all the good Hashem did for me, and I fall so low, for sure it's over. So the Breslov elder said like this, 1 second, if you're still alive and still walking, that means Hashem still wants you around. If Hashem didn't want you like you think, oh, it's over, it's finished. So because you now concluded based on your perspective that it's finished, it's over, I'm done with, okay? If now after such a high level I crash so low, forget it, it's over. So wait a second, if you're right, then you should be dead. That's it. If there's no spark of holiness left in you, as according to your theory that you think is correct, so you should be dead by now. The fact that you're still walking, you get up in the morning, Hashem wants you to wash your hands in the morning, say Modani, say Netilat Yadayim, Asher Yatzar, go put on tefillin, Hashem didn't kill you like you thought. That shows you that there's still hope and there's still holy sparks. When a person reaches rock bottom and it's evil, it's totally bad, and he kills his good point, then for sure Hashem takes away that person. We're talking about evil people. Good people, there's different reasons for that. But bad people, that there's no trace of good in them, okay, like Haman also. Haman was so bad, but we're taught from the Gemara that from the Bnei Banim, from the descendants of Haman, were converts who sat in the Lishkat HaGazit, who were in the Sanhedrin in Yerushalayim. They were in the high Jewish court. They were converts descended from Haman. That means there's like some good, even the biggest evil. But if now Hashem chooses to keep them around, because there's some holy spark still there, okay? This is the message from Amorah and Sodom. This is the message of Avraham Avinu's attempt to save them, even activating the idea of the Keter twice, which is why he said Ho'alti, indicating that the power of Ratzon is how to activate the Keter, and still it didn't work, to show that these people, this situation of Sodom was totally bad and had to be totally destroyed. Shabbat Shalom, and may we always have hope and be positive and value that we're still alive and appreciate it and realize that Hashem loves me and wants me to serve Him. Proof being, I'm still around. Shabbat Shalom.